Forget gold, forget Bitcoin, forget real estate. The financial media loves talking about those, but while you're chasing last year's winners, the world's billionaires have already moved on. They're not discussing their moves on CNBC, they're not bragging about them on Twitter. They're quietly accumulating 3 obscure assets you've likely never heard of. These aren't just for making money. They're designed to thrive when the systems we rely on start to break. And the ultra-wealthy are buying them up in secret, no flashy press releases. No TV interviews, just systematic accumulation through shell companies and private transactions that most people never see. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on this quiet revolution. And what you're about to discover might change how you think about wealth, security, and what really matters in the decades ahead. First up, an asset that's as old as civilization itself, but with a modern, strategic twist: farmland. But not just any farmland. We're talking about a very specific kind. Take Bill Gates. He's now the largest private owner of farmland in America, with over 275,000 acres. That's an area larger than the entire city of Los Angeles. He didn't just wake up one day and decide to buy a few fields. He's been strategically acquiring land since 2013, following a very specific pattern. And when you look closely at what he's buying, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Look at where he's buying. In Louisiana, 69,000 acres right in the Mississippi River Delta, home to some of the richest topsoil on the planet, with unlimited water and one of the longest growing seasons. This isn't marginal land. This is soil that farmers call black gold. Soil that can produce multiple harvests per year without depleting. In Arkansas, nearly 48,000 acres in prime rice and soybean country, with access to the Arkansas River. These aren't random purchases. Every single acquisition follows the same logic. In Nebraska, he's targeting land directly above the deepest sections of the Ogallala Aquifer, ensuring irrigation for the next 100 years, even as other farmers watch their wells run dry. His acquisitions in Washington and Florida follow the same logic. Just last year, he spent over $130 million on a piece of land in Washington, Horse Heaven Hills region. He paid $16,000 an acre, 4 times the national average. Why? Because it came with something invaluable: installed irrigation systems and guaranteed water rights. That single fact tells you everything about what he's actually buying. The pattern is crystal clear. Gates isn't just buying dirt. He's buying 3 things that can't be easily replicated: superior soil, guaranteed long-term water access from major rivers and aquifers, and climates that support multiple growing seasons. He's not necessarily focused on farming it today. He's cornering the market on food production capacity for tomorrow, positioning himself to be in control when global food systems face unprecedented stress. When droughts intensify and food prices spike, these holdings won't just be valuable, they'll be essential. He's buying the means of survival at scale. This brings us to the second, even more critical asset: water rights. And this is where things get truly fascinating, because most people don't even know this market exists. In the American West, owning land doesn't mean you own the water beneath it. Water rights are a separate, tradable asset. The system works on a first-in-time, first-in-right basis. This means those with senior rights get their full water allocation first during a drought, while everyone else gets what's left, if anything. And these rights can be bought, sold, and transferred, completely separate from the land itself. It's an invisible market worth billions, and it's growing every single year. Legendary oil tycoon T. Boone Pickens saw this coming decades ago. In the 1990s, he began buying up land over the same Ogallala Aquifer that Gates is targeting. He wasn't interested in the land itself. He was assembling the rights to extract 65 billion gallons of water per year. Think about that number. That's enough water to supply millions of people. In 2011, he sold just a portion of those rights to 11 Texas cities for $103 million. He didn't sell them land, he didn't sell them water, he sold them the legal right to pump it. His remaining water rights are now valued at over $500 million. He turned underground water he never touched into one of the greatest investments of his career. Wall Street has caught on. A firm called Water Asset Management bought 2,500 acres of Colorado River farmland. The land was worth about $50 million, but the senior water rights attached to it were worth $300 million, 6 times more valuable than the land itself. Their strategy is simple: buy farmland with senior rights, help the farms become more water efficient, and then sell the saved water to desperate growing cities. It's pure water arbitrage, and it's completely legal. They're not creating new water. They're just controlling who gets access to what's left. The Mormon Church even outbid Bill Gates in 2021 for a massive 20,000-acre property in Washington, paying $200 million. The prize? Not the land, but the senior water rights on the powerful Columbia River system, a guarantee of water forever. When institutions with 100-year planning horizons are outbidding billionaires for water rights, you know something fundamental is shifting. The reason for this frenzy is simple. The Colorado River's flow has dropped by 20% over the last century. The Ogallala Aquifer is being drained faster than it can recharge. Snowpack in the Rockies is declining. The water supply in the West is shrinking while demand is exploding. Cities keep growing, agriculture keeps expanding. But the water isn't coming back. In the near future, whoever controls water rights won't just be rich. They'll be more powerful than those who control oil. You can live without oil. You cannot live without water. The third surprising investment is one you will find deep in the portfolios of hedge funds and institutional investors. Catastrophe bonds, or cat bonds. This might sound complex, but the concept is surprisingly straightforward. Imagine an insurance company facing the risk of a massive hurricane payout. To protect themselves, they can issue a special bond. Investors buy this bond, and their money, let's say $500 million, is held in a safe account, usually filled with treasury bills. In return for taking on the risk, the insurance company pays these investors a very high premium, often between 9 and 14%, compared to the 4% you might get from a regular treasury. If no major disaster happens during the bond's term, the investors get all their money back plus that juicy premium. But if a specified hurricane or earthquake does hit and trigger the bond's terms, the investors can lose their entire principal. That money then goes to the insurance company to pay claims. It's essentially disaster insurance for insurance companies, and investors are the ones taking the other side of that bet. It sounds risky, but look at the returns. In 2023, cat bonds returned nearly 20%. Over the past year, they've averaged over 17%, while the S&P 500 hovered around 7%. What makes them so attractive to the ultra-wealthy is that their performance is completely disconnected from the economy. A trade war doesn't cause an earthquake. A stock market crash doesn't cause a hurricane. A banking crisis doesn't trigger a wildfire. Their value is tied to physical events, not economic cycles. In a year when both stocks and traditional bonds went down, cat bonds went up. They offer true diversification. They move independently of everything else in your portfolio. The market for these bonds is exploding, growing by 50% in just the last few years. Major players like BlackRock, PIMCO, and massive pension funds are all piling in. They're betting on two things. First, that climate change will unfortunately increase the frequency and severity of natural disasters. And second, that rising insurance premiums will lead to even higher yields on these bonds. It's a sophisticated and somewhat grim way to generate uncorrelated returns that are immune to economic downturns. They're profiting from chaos, from the physical reshaping of our planet. And the more unstable the climate becomes, the more valuable these instruments get, so there you have it. While the average investor is distracted by the daily noise of the stock market, the world's most sophisticated investors are quietly securing control over the fundamental building blocks of our society. Food, water, and even the financial risk of disaster itself. They aren't just playing the game, they're changing the rules. They're making strategic, long-term plays on assets that will become priceless in a world of increasing scarcity and uncertainty. This is the quiet revolution happening right under our noses. And by the time most people figure out what's happening, the best assets will already be locked up, controlled by those who saw it coming years ago. Thanks for watching. If you found this insightful, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into how the world of money really works. See you in the next one.